Hello, BookTube. I'm back with another tag. This is the TBR tag, and I've done a dilemmas of a book nerd tag, and they're sort of questions that we've come across before, but it's always nice to revisit them, and maybe give a little bit of a different slant because there'll be slightly different slant, or even for those that haven't seen. But these are going to be back to back, so there's a little bit of overlay here. This TBR tag was originally done by Emma at A Cup of Books, and I originally saw it on Bill Rutenberg's channel again as the other one. And question one is, how do you keep track of your TBR pile? I don't really keep track. I generally do not have a pile for TBR. It's sort of, my TBR is all my books, so whatever I'm interested in generally at the time. However, saying that, 2 times a year I do sort of create, on a routine basis, a TBR in a sense. Usually from what's off my shelf, and I usually purchase a few more every year as well. October, as we're in now. I read ghost stories like M.R. James's. I'm reading through now M.R. James's again in a new it's a new format for me. The Penguin 2 volumes that are annotated. So I have a sort of a ghostly slash a bit of horror reading for the month of October, and that could be that could be anything. So it's a big area. I try to keep it to ghost stories though, especially for October, and then it spills in a little bit sometimes to November. So that's where I can add other ones that are more horror. Like this year, I'm rereading Ray Bradbury's "Something Wicked This Way Comes." It's not really a ghost story, but it's Halloween, October-ish settings, and I might even, if I get everything done here, it's been sitting on the shelf for quite a while. Is Bram Stoker biography by David Scull that I've wanted to read. I bought it as soon as it came out a couple years ago, but I haven't read it yet. So that might be something that I'll do in November. And then the other one's Christmas. I read the Christmas Carol basically on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. I read it through every year. And I read other Christmas sort of stories. Sometimes reread some of his, others. Essays about Christmas, like Washington Irving's got a few sort of essay type things. There's other ones that I've found throughout, even some poetry occasionally, Christmas poetry, but a lot of sort of the lore of Christmas, the tradition of Christmas, the history of Christmas, and that type of thing. That's the TBR that I create, and that's how I keep track of that. Currently, my TBR, I do have one, is the Zulu books and the South African books. I got about 50 or 60 books that I'm working through, so those are the TBR. So okay, that's the long answer for that, and that took me almost 4 minutes. Number 2, is your TBR mostly print or ebook? It's all print. I don't get along with ebook that well, and I'm thinking of doing a bit of a discussion at some point on sort of the merits or the differences and sort of my reason why I don't use ebooks at this point. So that's something else I might do. Number 3, how do you determine which book from your TBR to read next? When I do have a TBR, like the October one, I read things that are sort of in conjunction, that are similar, or if it's very varied, that I just jump around. A lot of it's short stories, so the ghost short stories, and that's the format that I usually read, so I can jump from book to book. But I usually try to stick with one book and read through. And then there's the cultural history of the ghost. There's several that I'm reading here now. But again, while I'm doing that, I'll probably be dipping in when they reference other stories that I'll be jumping into if I have those. With regard to the Zulu South Africa, I'm sort of reading the Zulu War of 1879. I'm reading sort of general histories of the war, and then I'll move on to histories of the Zulu, and then I'll eventually move on to individual battles of the war, and then mopping up other stuff after that, like periphery. Like there's a few books, essays I got here, so I'll be reading those because there's a specific case studies on something. It could be a battle, it could be an aspect of someone or a problem or whatever. And then just the peripheral ones, like there's one on nurses, there's ones on the spies that were in the war, and also there's sort of first-hand accounts that I'll read too. So those will be all sort of separate. And then I intersperse those, or I've been with histories of Africa and South Africa. So every time I read one Zulu one, I'm reading an African one. Number 4, book that's been on your TBR list for the longest. Now, as I said, I don't do a lot of TBRs in general. I'm using the Zulu one because it's convenient, because that's where I'm at the moment. And there is one that sort of fits into the South African one that I just recently got a copy of. I've wanted it since it came out in 1992 by Alfred A. Knopf. And like I say, I finally got a copy, but it's a bit of a story behind that. It's a big, heavy doorstopper. It's called Frontiers. It's the epic of South Africa's creation and the tragedy of the Xhosa people by Noel Mostert. And it's over 1,300 pages. I want the American edition because the British edition is made from much, much cheaper paper. Jonathan Cape, I think. And it browns very quickly, and it's so light, it's so flimsy. So I've been waiting, and then I found this one, or I found a listing of one, of saying, as new. It was £25, or a little over 25 with shipping. So I thought, yes, I'll grab it. It comes, it's ex-library. You can see the stamp there. It's got the usual markings for ex-library as well. Maybe a little less, to be honest. But so I just said, well, this is not what you described. And they said, yes, it was. This is and they sent me a huge email saying what is considered ex-library. I mean, as new. And it can be ex-library. It can have, underlining, highlighting in it. Can be with or without the dust jacket. And if there's like CD or other material, may or may not be there. If it's paperback, it can be missing the back cover. And it's like, who in their warped mind or show me a bookshop that sells new books that are like that? They're not new. And like new means that it's new, but it's not being sold in a new bookshop. It doesn't take much to figure out, but so I had arguments back and forth with them. I bought it through Amazon, and the one thing I do say with Amazon is I go to the customer service and said, "This is what's happened. Do you agree that this is a new book?" And they said, "No." I said, "All I want is for them to arrange. I'm not paying for shipping back to them. They can arrange to pick it up. I want the full amount back. That's it. Simple as that. That's it." So they interceded. They sent an email to the bookseller. I got an email back saying, "Oh, well, we'll give you 50% off." I said, "No, full amount. You arrange for collection," and then it came back later and saying, "Oh, well, we won't need to have the book back. You can just keep it or donate it, and we'll refund the money." So they've refunded the money. I'm keeping it because I can read it until I pass it on. I do want a book, so I'll be keeping it until I can replace it with a proper copy. I've cleaned up the jacket. I've taken off all the stickers as much as possible. It's a very good minus jacket. It's pretty rough. But if I can find a good enough copy of the body of the book, then and without a jacket or a rough jacket, then I can replace it. So we'll see. Anyway, that's an aside, but that's been on my this TBR type reading for a long time. Number 5, a book that you recently added to your TBR. That would be this. I just got it a couple days ago, maybe even yesterday. It's Diamonds, Gold, and War. It's the making of South Africa. It's by Martin Meredith. It was published by Simon Schuster, 2007. It's just over 500 pounds, History of South Africa. And this will be the next book I read after I'm reading the Zulu Warriors that I'm currently reading at the moment by John LeBand. And this will be the next one. And I'm getting another book by him. It's a history of Africa. It's about 800 pages. So I'm quite excited for that. Number 6, a book on your TBR strictly because of its beautiful cover. I don't have anything on the TBRs for that at the moment. I do buy sometimes just for the cover. For instance, Wordsworth books every so often revamp their covers. And they're doing some really nice covers now. And because January of 2021, I think marks it's Orwell's writings will be in the public domain. And they're publishing 3 books. They're doing Animal Farm, 1984, and then they're combining Wig and Pier and Down and Outs in Paris and London. Absolutely gorgeous covers. And this is a publisher that they're bargain books. They're really, really cheap. They're not the best made, but they're still they're fine. The type is fine. It's clear. It's a bit small. To be fair, it's a bit small, but like these things are going to be £2. The full price is £2.50. Amazon has a pre-order price of £2.20. I pre-ordered all 3. Like that's £6 and what 60 pence. I can't pass that up, and if they do all the rest in that cover, I'll get them as well. I know in January the Oxford World Classics are doing new printings of all his sort of standalone books, which might be worth getting as well because of the essays that'll be in it. I'll have to take a look at it and maybe buy 1 or 2. I no longer have the individual books, so it's not as if I'm duplicating them, but I'm specifically buying those for the cover. But if you're interested, yeah, just put in Wordsworth books, publisher Wordsworth Publishers, and they're as I say, their new covers a lot of them are just fantastic. Dostoevsky series of Dostoevsky books. Oh, they're just gorgeous covers. Okay, number 7, a book on your TBR that you never plan on reading. There's nothing there. I plan on reading them all here. An unpublished book on your TBR that you're excited for. Yeah, there is one. It's sort of Isan Dawana and O'Rourke's Drift, Minute by Minute. That's coming out. I think it's in January, and I just can't wait to see that. To see how they do that. Is it possible to do it? From like, I don't know. I'm curious to find out when they will start with that. Because like, will they start when the battle actually, when confrontation started in the afternoon of the 22nd on January 22nd, 1879, or will they start before that while the Zulu are, moving into place before they attack? And then it'll definitely go right till the next morning at Rourke's Drift, where the battle ends there. So yeah, so I'm really looking forward to getting that. A book on your TBR that basically everyone's read but you. Definitely not. There's nothing there. I don't know anybody that reads the stuff that I'm doing here, the South Africa Zulu War. And on my TBR for October, there's nothing there that I know everybody's read, or that I have. Well, a lot of people have read the M.R. James, but I have as well. So, a book on your TBR that everyone recommends to you, that's the same as well. There's nothing in the October TBR, and there's nothing in the Zulu South African one. And number 11, a book on your TBR that you're dying to read. That Frontiers one, I'm dying to read. That's going to take a little while. That's going to be after I read all the general Zulu war stuff, plus the Zulu books and a few other South African books. This one I'm definitely dying to read, and I'm really, but I gotta wait because it's specifically on Rorke's Drift. Adrian Greaves, fabulous writer. It's longer, and this is just the one sort of overnight battle, longer than his whole history of the Zulu War. So I'm dying to get to that, but that's probably going to be New Year, I figure. How many books are on your TBR shelf? Well, there's about 50 or so, 50 plus. 50, let's say 50 to 60, because I know I'll be adding a few more to the Zulu and African one. And there's 9 books on the October one, which if I can do all those, I'll be happy. But I might try a little more, but I'm not reading those exclusively. So there is the TBR tag, and that's taken me a little longer than I expected, but I will see you later, BookTube. Thank you.